The ship moved through dark space like a metal fish swimming through black water. Its name was Horizon's Edge, and it carried humans and aliens together on a mission to explore the unknown. Stood near the main window, watching the stars pass by. She was a doctor who studied alien bodies, and she loved her work more than anything. The ship was not quiet today. Alarms had been going off since morning. Something was wrong with the space around them. The captain said it was a gravity problem, whatever that meant. Did not understand much about space physics. She understood bodies. She understood when someone was sick. That was why she noticed. Was small, very small. She came from a species called and even for her kind she was tiny. She stood only up to waist with smooth scales that changed color like oil on water. Her eyes were large and golden like two small suns. She worked as a communications officer and she was good at her job. She was also friend. But today, something was wrong with. Watched her from across the room. Sat at her station but she was not working. Her small hands shook as she typed. Her scales, which were usually bright blue and green, kept turning gray at the edges. Every few seconds she looked at her personal screen with wide, scared eyes. Walked over to her. She moved slowly, the way she would approach a scared animal. She said softly, "Are you feeling okay?" Looked up fast, too fast. Her golden eyes were wet. "I am fine," she said. Her voice was high and thin. "Just tired. The alarms woke me up early." Did not believe her. She had known for 6 months now. She had seen her tired before. This was not tired, this was afraid. "You can talk to me," said. "If something is wrong, I want to help." For a moment's face changed. Her lips trembled. She looked like she wanted to say something. But then she shook her head and turned back to her screen. "There is nothing wrong," she said. "Please, I need to work." Wanted to push harder, but she knew the small alien was proud. She would not accept help easily. So nodded and walked away, but she did not stop watching. Later that day, found her friend in the engine room. Was tall and thin, with messy black hair and grease on his face. He fixed things. That was his job and his love. Right now, he was fixing a broken power unit while cursing under his breath. "The whole ship is falling apart," he said when he saw. "This gravity nonsense is breaking everything." "I need to ask you something," said. "Have you heard anything strange from the crew?" Stopped working. He wiped his hands on his pants and looked at her. "Strange how?" "I don't know, is acting different, scared. And I saw her looking at medical data on her screen." His face became serious. He leaned closer and spoke quietly. "I heard something," he said. "2 of the officers were talking in the hallway last night. They didn't know I was there. They mentioned something called the turbulent cycle. They sounded worried." Turbulent cycle. Had never heard this term before. "I don't know what it means," said, but they kept looking at the door when they said it. Felt cold. Something bad was happening to her friend, and no one would tell her what. The next few hours passed slowly. The ship continued to shake from the gravity problems. The captain ordered all non-important systems to shut down to save power. This included the special rooms where the smaller aliens lived. These rooms had special air and temperature controls that their bodies needed. Without power, these rooms became like all the others. Was walking to her sleeping quarters when she heard the sound. It was a small sound, a soft thump like something falling. She turned the corner and saw on the floor. The small alien was shaking badly. Her whole body moved like she was freezing cold, but her scales were turning dark gray. Her golden eyes were open but saw nothing. White foam came from her mouth. Ran to her and dropped to her knees. She touched face. The scales were burning hot. "Help!" screamed. "Someone help me!" People came running. Human crew members, officers, everyone gathered around the small alien on the floor. Tried to pick up, but a hand stopped her. It was the senior officer. His name was hard to say, so everyone called him Sir. He was tall for almost as tall as a human child. His face was cold and hard. "Do not touch her," he said. "This is a matter." "She's dying," shouted. "Let me help her." "You cannot help. Human medicine cannot help. This is the turbulent cycle. It is private. It is ours." He waved his hand, and two others picked up small body. They began to carry her away. But's eyes found face, and in those golden eyes saw something that broke her heart. She saw fear, not fear of dying, fear of being alone. Did not want to go with them, wanted to stay with her. They carried around the corner, stood there, her hands shaking, her heart beating fast. She did not know what the turbulent cycle was, but she knew one thing for certain. She was not going to let her friend die alone. Did not sleep that night. She sat in her small room and thought about eyes, those golden eyes full of fear. She thought about the senior officer and his cold voice. This is a matter. It is private. But was not just was her friend. When the ship's lights changed from night mode to day mode, got up. She washed her face. She put on her medical uniform, and then she went to find answers. The ship's computer knew many things, sat at a terminal and searched for information about the turbulent cycle. At first, she found nothing. They kept their secrets well, but then she found an old medical paper written by a human scientist who had studied biology 50 years ago. What she read made her blood turn cold. The turbulent cycle was something that happened to females every few years. Their bodies went through a complete change. Every cell in their body died and was replaced with new cells. It was like being born again, but the process was violent and dangerous. During the cycle, a female needed very specific conditions to survive. The right temperature, the right air, the right pressure. Without these things, the body would destroy itself from the inside. They had special pods for this, machines that created perfect conditions. But these pods needed a lot of power, and right now, with the ship saving energy because of the gravity problems, those pods were dead. Understood now, was going through the cycle, and without her pod she was dying. She ran to the section of the ship. She banged on the door until the senior officer opened it. "Let me see her," said. "I can help." The officer's face did not change. "You cannot help. I told you this. Human medicine is not made for us." "Then what are you doing for her?" The officer was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, and his voice was very tired. "We are making her comfortable. We are saying goodbye. She's going to die, and you're just going to let it happen. There is no other choice. Without the pods, no female has ever survived the cycle. It has been this way for thousands of years." Felt anger rise in her chest like fire. "Then why is she even on this ship? Why did you let her come?" The officer looked away. She hid the timing. She wanted to prove herself. She wanted to show that females could serve on long missions like everyone else. He paused. "She is brave, but bravery cannot change biology." Did not accept this. She could not accept this. She pushed past the officer and walked into the room where lay. The small alien looked terrible. Her scales had all turned gray now. She was shaking under a thin blanket, her eyes closed, her breath coming in short, painful sounds. She looked so small, so fragile. Knelt beside her. She whispered, "Can you hear me?" His eyes opened slowly. They were not bright gold anymore. They were pale yellow like dying suns. Her voice was so weak. "I'm here, I'm going to help you." Tried to smile, but it turned into a grimace of pain. "You cannot, the cycle. It needs the pod. Without it, my body is eating itself." "What does the pod do? Tell me exactly." His eyes closed for a moment. She was so tired, but she spoke. "Temperature, very cold, then very hot, then cold again. Many times, and special air, rich with something you call nitrogen, and pressure. Heavy pressure on the skin, like being deep underwater." Listened carefully. Her mind was working fast. Cold, hot, nitrogen-rich air, heavy pressure. These were extreme conditions, but humans knew about extreme conditions. Humans came from a planet that had deserts and frozen wastelands, mountains and deep oceans. Humans had learned to survive everywhere. Stood up and ran. She found in the engine room, still working on repairs. "I need your help," she said, "now." Saw her face and put down his tools. "What do you need?" "The emergency survival gear, the suit they give us for extreme environments. Where is it?" "Storage room 3, why?" "Is dying, that won't help her, but I think human gear might save her." His eyes went wide. "Human gear on an alien, that's never been done." "I know, but the survival suit can do extreme cold and extreme heat. The portable breathing system can adjust air mixture, and the suit has pressure controls." Grabbed his arm. "It might work, it might work." Was quiet for 3 seconds, then he nodded. "Let's go." They ran to storage room 3, pulled out the big metal box that held the emergency survival suit. It was designed for humans working in dangerous places, places with no air, places with terrible heat or cold. The suit was heavy and ugly and not elegant at all. But it was built to keep people alive when everything was trying to kill them. "We need to change some settings," said. "The temperature controls need to cycle automatically. Hot, then cold, then hot again, and the air system needs more nitrogen." "I can do that," said. "But this suit is made for humans, is half your size, and her body is different." "I know. We'll wrap her in insulation to fill the extra space, and I'll monitor everything manually." Looked at her for a long moment. "This is crazy." "I know. If it goes wrong, she could die faster." "She's already dying. At least this way she has a chance." Took a deep breath. Then he started working on the suit. Went back to his room. The officer tried to stop her, but she pushed past him. "I'm taking her to the human medical bay," she said. "You cannot. This is against protocol." "Then report me later. Right now I'm going to save her life." She picked up small body. The alien weighed almost nothing. She was burning with fever, her gray scales rough against arms. Whispered, "What are you doing?" "Something stupid," said. "Something human." She carried her friend out of the section and into the human part of the ship. Behind her she heard the officer say something to the other. She did not understand the words, but she did not care. She was going to save, or she was going to die trying. The cargo bay was not a proper medical room. It had metal floors and metal walls and no windows. Boxes of supplies stood in corners, covered with dust. But it had one important thing. It had space, and right now needed space to save her friend. Had finished changing the survival suit. It sat on a table like a sleeping giant, all black material and blinking lights. The suit was made for a full-grown human, would look like a child wearing her parents' clothes. "The temperature system is ready," said. "It will cycle every 3 minutes. Cold, then hot, then cold. The air mixture is set to 70% nitrogen, and I increased the pressure settings to maximum." "Good," laid on a clean blanket on the floor. The small alien was barely conscious now. Her breath came in short, painful gasps. Her gray scales had started to crack at the edges. "We need to fill the extra space in the suit," said. "Something soft, something that won't hurt her." Looked around. He grabbed some emergency thermal blankets from a storage box. "These will work. They're made to hold heat." Together, they wrapped in the blankets. The small alien opened her eyes and looked at them with confusion. "What is happening?" she asked weakly. "We're putting you in a human survival suit," said. "It will keep you alive through the cycle." His pale eyes went wide. "Human suit, but it is not made for me. It could kill me." "It could," agreed. "But without it you will definitely die. I'm giving you a chance, that's all I can give." Was quiet for a long moment, then she nodded slowly. "Okay, I trust you." Those words hit harder than anything else. This small alien from a species that kept secrets from everyone trusted her with her life, and carefully lifted and slid her into the suit. The small alien disappeared inside the human gear, wrapped in blankets, looking tiny and lost, sealed the suit and checked all the connections. "Starting the systems now," said. He pressed a button on the control panel. The suit hummed to life, watched the temperature reading on her monitor, cold first. The suit dropped to -10 degrees. His body twitched inside. "Her heart rate is increasing," said, "but it's holding." 3 minutes passed. The suit switched to hot, 40 degrees, then 50, then 60. Screamed. The sound was terrible, high and sharp like breaking glass. It went through ears and into her brain. She wanted to cover her ears, but she kept watching the monitors instead. "Her body temperature is spiking," she said. "The cycle is starting." Through the suit's small window could see face. The small alien's eyes were closed tight. Her scales were changing color rapidly, blue to gray to silver to blue again. Her whole body shook. The suit switched back to cold, stopped screaming, but her body kept shaking. "Is this supposed to happen?" asked. His face was pale. "I don't know," admitted. "I've never seen a turbulent cycle before. No human has." The minutes passed like hours. Hot, cold, hot, cold. Each time the temperature changed, his body reacted violently. Her scales started to fall off, drifting inside the suit like gray snow. New scales grew in their place, wet and soft. Halfway through the first hour, someone banged on the cargo bay door. Opened it. The senior officer stood there with two others behind him. His face was full of anger. "What have you done?" he demanded. "You put her in human equipment. You will kill her." "She was already dying," said without looking away from the monitors. "At least now she has a chance." The officer walked to the suit and looked through the window. He saw inside, surrounded by her own fallen scales, her new skin pink and raw. His face changed. The anger faded. Something else took its place. Wonder, maybe, or hope. "She is still alive," he whispered. "Yes." "This is impossible. Without a pod, no one survives." Finally looked at him. "Maybe no one has tried the right thing. Human gear is not pretty. It is not elegant, but it is made for one purpose: keeping people alive when everything is trying to kill them." The officer stared at her. He did not seem to know what to say. The suit switched to hot again. His body went rigid. The monitors showed her heart beating fast, too fast. "She's going into crisis," said. "Her heart can't take much more." "What do we do?" asked. Looked at the suit's control panel. There was one more system she had not used yet, the emergency system. It was designed for humans who had heart attacks in dangerous places. "The defibrillator." "If her heart stops," said slowly, "the suit will try to restart it." "But the defibrillator is made for human hearts," the officer said. "Our hearts are different. The shock could destroy her." "I know." Watched heart rate on the monitor. It was getting faster and faster, but it's all we have. The suit switched to cold. His heart rate kept climbing. Then it stopped. The monitor showed a flat line, no heartbeat. His body went limp inside the suit. For one terrible second, everyone was frozen. Then the suit's emergency system activated. A loud sound filled the cargo bay. The suit delivered an electric shock to his chest. Her small body jumped inside the big suit. "Nothing." Another shock. "Nothing." Grab's hand. She was not a religious person, but she prayed anyway, to anyone who might be listening. A third shock. The monitor beeped. One beat, then another, then another. His heart was beating again. Let out a breath she did not know she was holding. Beside her, made a sound that was half laugh and half cry. The officer sank to his knees. His eyes were wet. "Impossible," he whispered. "This is impossible." Looked at through the suit's window. The small alien's chest rose and fell slowly. Her new scales were forming properly now, a beautiful deep blue. She was alive. Against all odds, against all logic, she was alive. Sat down on the cold metal floor. Her legs would not hold her anymore. Her hands were shaking. But she was smiling. The cycle was not over yet. There would be more hours of hot and cold, more crises, more fear, but had survived the worst moment. The human suit had worked. Sometimes thought, the ugly solution is the right solution. Sometimes survival is not about elegance. It is about not giving up. 3 days passed before opened her eyes. Was sitting beside her when it happened. She had not left the medical bay much since the cycle ended. She ate her meals there. She slept in a chair there. She watched monitors and waited. Whence golden eyes finally opened, they were brighter than before, like 2 small stars instead of dying suns. Her voice was weak but clear. Leaned forward and took small hand. The new scales were smooth and cool, a deep shade of blue that seemed to glow from inside. "I'm here," said. "You're safe, you made it." Blinked slowly. She looked around the medical bay, then down at herself. She was no longer in the survival suit. She lay in a human bed, covered with soft blankets, surrounded by monitors that showed her strong heartbeat. "I survived," she whispered. "How?" "Human gear," smiled. "Ugly, heavy, not elegant at all, but it worked." His eyes filled with tears. They rolled down her new blue scales like diamonds. "You saved me. You saved me when my own people said it was impossible." "We didn't do anything special," said. "We just refused to give up." Squeezed hand, her grip was stronger now. "That is special. That is the most special thing." The door opened. Came in carrying 2 cups of hot tea. When he saw us open eyes, his face broke into a huge smile. "You're awake." He rushed over and almost spilled the tea. "How do you feel?" "Strange," said. "New, like I am wearing a new body." She looked at her hands, turning them over slowly. "Because I am wearing a new body. Every cell is different now." "But you're alive," said. "That's what matters." They sat together for a while, talking quietly, told them about what she remembered from the cycle, the terrible pain, the feeling of her body tearing itself apart. And then, when things were darkest, a strange warmth, a feeling of being held, protected, safe. "That was the suit," said. "It held you through everything." "No," shook her head. "The suit was just metal and cloth. The warmth came from you, both of you. I could feel that you were there, that you would not let me go." Did not know what to say. She just held his hand. Later that day, the senior officer came to visit. He looked different now. The coldness was gone from his face. He seemed smaller somehow and very tired. He stood at the foot of his bed and bowed his head. "I owe you an apology," he said too. "I said human medicine could not help. I was wrong." "You were trying to protect your people," said. "I understand." "No, I was following old rules without thinking." He looked at. "Our females have died during the cycle for thousands of years. We accepted it as fate. We never thought to try something different." He walked to and did something that surprised her. He took her hands in his and bowed deeply. "You have given us a gift," he said. "Not just life. You have given us hope. If human equipment can save our females, then maybe they do not have to stay behind. Maybe they can serve on ships like this one. Maybe they can explore the stars with everyone else." Felt her face grow hot. "I just did what anyone would do." "No, you did what a human would do." The officer straightened up. "Your species builds things for disaster. You plan for the worst because your planet taught you to expect the worst. We thought this made you primitive. We were fools." Word spread through the ship quickly. By the end of the day, everyone knew about the female who had survived the turbulent cycle using human gear. Crew members from many different species came to the medical bay to ask questions. A tall alien with 4 arms wanted to know if human pressure suits could help his species survive in high-gravity environments. A small, furry creature asked about human breathing equipment for toxic atmospheres. A being made mostly of crystal wondered if human temperature control systems could help her species travel through hot space zones. Answered their questions as best she could, but she kept thinking about what the officer had said. Your species builds things for disaster. It was true. Humans came from a planet full of earthquakes, floods, fires, storms, and 100 other ways to die. They had learned to prepare for the worst. Their equipment was heavy because it needed to be strong. It was ugly because beauty did not matter when you were trying to survive. It had backup systems for the backup systems because one failure could mean death. Other species had evolved on kinder worlds. Their technology was elegant and efficient, but it was not built for crisis. Human technology was. That night sat alone in the cargo bay where they had saved life. The survival suit was still there, lying on the table like a sleeping hero. It was dirty now, covered with old scales and the marks of 3 days of use. Found her there. What are you thinking about? He asked, sitting beside her. Change, said. I think we started something today, something bigger than saving one life. The other species want our gear. They want our philosophy, build for the worst, expect disaster, never give up. She looked at the suit. We're not the species in the galaxy. We're not the oldest or the most advanced, but maybe we know something the others forgot. What's that? Smiled, how to survive. Nodded slowly. He put his arm around her shoulders, and they sat together in silence, looking at the ugly human suit that had done an impossible thing. In the medical bay, slept peacefully, her new blue scales shining in the soft light. She was alive. And because she was alive, everything was going to change. 3 months later, the Horizon's Edge returned to the Galactic Union Station. The huge station floated in space like a metal flower, with arms reaching out in all directions. Ships of every size and shape came and went, carrying beings from 100 different worlds. Stood at the window of the ship, watching the station grow larger. She looked different now, stronger. Her blue scales had fully hardened and they seemed to shine with an inner light. On her uniform, she wore a new badge, Senior Communications Officer. She had earned the promotion with hard work and skill. But she also wore something else. A small device on her chest, no bigger than a coin. It was a human emergency beacon. Had given it to her the day she left the medical bay. If you ever need me, had said, press this, I will come. Touched the beacon now, feeling its weight against her scales. She did not need it, but she would never take it off. Came to stand beside her. The human woman looked tired but happy. The last 3 months had been busy for her. Representatives from many species had come to ask about human survival technology. She had spent hours explaining, demonstrating, answering questions. Are you ready? Asked. Nodded, ready and scared. Today was going to speak at the Galactic Union Assembly. She was going to tell her story to representatives from every known species. The leadership had asked her to do it. They wanted the galaxy to know what had happened. You'll be fine, said, just tell the truth. The truth is embarrassing, said quietly. I hid my cycle. I almost died because of my pride. The truth is brave, put her hand on shoulder. You wanted to prove that females could serve on long missions. Now you have proven it, not the way you planned maybe, but you proved it. Smiled, it was a real smile, bright and warm. The ship docked at the station, met them at the exit, wearing a new uniform of his own. He had been recruited to lead a joint engineering team. Their mission was to adapt human survival equipment for other species. It was important work, and he was proud to do it. The assembly hall is full, he reported. Standing room only. Everyone wants to hear the story. They walked through the station together. Everywhere they went, people looked at them. Some pointed and whispered. Others called out greetings. News of the miracle on the horizon's edge had spread across the galaxy. The assembly hall was enormous. Thousands of beings sat in curved rows, rising up and up like a bowl made of people. At the center was a small platform with a single microphone. Walked to the platform alone. Her steps were steady, but her hearts were beating fast. Yes, hearts, had two of them, both were pounding now. She looked out at the crowd. She saw, sitting together in one section. She saw humans scattered throughout the hall. She saw dozens of other species, all watching her with curious eyes. She took a deep breath, and she began to speak. She told them about the horizon's edge, about the gravity problems that shut down the ship's power, about hiding her cycle because she wanted to prove herself. She told them about collapsing in the corridor, about the cold fear of knowing she was going to die. She told them about the ugly human survival suit that had no right to save her life. I was dying, she said. My own people told me there was no hope. They were ready to say goodbye, but the humans were not ready to say goodbye. She looked at, sitting in the front row. The human woman was crying quietly. Human technology is not elegant, continued. It is heavy and loud and sometimes ugly, but it is made for one thing, survival. Humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day. Earthquakes, floods, storms, disease. Their world was a constant battle, and so they learned to build things that could survive anything. She paused. The hall was completely silent. When I was dying, surrounded by the most advanced species in the galaxy, it was human gear that saved me. Not because humans are the fastest or the most evolved, but because humans never, ever give up. She raised her small hand and pointed at the human section of the audience. They do not accept impossible. They do not accept fate. When they see someone dying, they do not bow their heads and say goodbye. They fight. They try something new. They refuse to let death win. Her voice grew stronger. I am alive today because a human woman looked at impossible and said no. I am alive because two humans took their survival gear and found a new use for it. I am alive because humanity's greatest gift is not intelligence or strength or technology. She looked at one more time. Humanity's greatest gift is hope. The hall exploded in sound, applause, cheers. Voices calling out in 100 languages stood on the platform, letting the noise wash over her. Later, after the speeches were done and the crowds had thinned, found at a window. They stood together, looking out at the stars. You didn't have to save me, said quietly. You broke rules, you risked your career, you could have gotten in serious trouble. Turned to look at her. Her eyes were warm. Yeah, she said, I did have to. Why? Thought about the question. She thought about the moment she had seen lying on the floor, gray and dying. She thought about the fear and the anger and the desperate need to do something. Because that's what humans do, she said finally. We see someone hurting and we try to help. We don't ask if it's possible. We don't ask if it's allowed. We just try. Reached out and took's hand. Her small blue fingers wrapped around the human's larger ones. Thank you, she said, for trying. Squeezed her hand gently. Thank you for living. They stood there together, human and alien, looking at the infinite stars. Somewhere out there were worlds they had never seen, species they had never met, adventures they had never imagined. And they would face all of it together. Because that was what friends did. That was what survivors did. That was what hope looked like.